Hello. Hello, Mr. McBride. Thank you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm so used to using Microsoft Teams. I had to switch over to the other app and had me muted out. But so great to meet you finally.
So great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm sorry for the back and forth.
Oh, no problem at all. How's your day been going? Was it coming up a pretty busy weekend?
Oh yes, because I'm a music major myself, and so we've had performances, and so this weekend I was at a performance, and earlier in the day I was at a symposium, a history.
Okay.
So I'm just like my head. I feel like a bobblehead.
Nice. Well, sounds like things have been moving quite nicely for you.
Yes, yeah. I appreciate your time. And thank you so much for doing this. A little bit background, I'm doing this digital narrative course, and we were asked, hey, just go into the body of the campus and just see if there's something that, attracts you, and went to the alumni house, myself and my friend Karina, and there was this information about these two Black students from the 1900s.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my gosh, wow. And then upon further research, after Mildred left in 1924, there were no more Black students until the 1950s.
Wow, that's a huge gap right there.
Yeah. And when you think about it, when they attended, Mildred and I don't know them personally, so I'm going to call Miss Mildred and Reverend Wealthy Howard, they attended during the time of, separate but equal. So they broke the law, as it were, and attended at an all-white college. So the idea is just to find out where we are today. We know it's not perfect. There's still not that many Black students, but there's a lot more than there were. And so we're going to figure out over the decades, going backwards, what life was like for us, what life is like for us here now in comparison to what it has been. And then, thank those two people for breaking the barrier and taking the step that allows us to be here today. So we're really trying to find out from your experience what it was like when you were here,
Yeah, so you definitely have to be thankful for all the trailblazers. We definitely are on the shoulders of giants.
Absolutely. So what I want to do is we're going to record this, and then we're going to upload this to the website. And we have been given a permanent website for the college to do this with, because we're using it as a resource for the Black Student Association. So I'm grateful for that. So they're going to use it as a resource. So I want to kind of be more formal. You can introduce yourself, your graduating class, and also your major. And then I really want to give you an opportunity to kind of talk about really your experience rather than me guide you. Do you know what I mean?
Got it. Okay. Sure. Well, I can definitely introduce myself. As you know, I'm Will McBride. I started at the University of the Pacific in the Department of Engineering as a student, and ended up getting my degree in computer engineering. As far as when I graduated, it's way back in 2007. So that's 15 years ago. It seems like time really flies since then. And since then, I've gotten a position with a company called Accenture. It was actually my first company out of college, and I've been with them ever since. I've kind of grown up within the company. I started off as a young analyst, and today I'm working in the Data and Applied Intelligence division as a solution architect.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Wow. So would you say that your degree from UOP was something that was very advantageous for you with that?
Oh, definitely. It opened up so many doors. And I think what's really unique about Pacific is that, at least for the engineering students, they really put an emphasis on making sure that we all had like real hands-on experience. I was able to get an internship at Cisco Systems and actually worked at the company in San Jose for a total of about a year and a half as part of my program. So we basically are able to, come out the door with our degree, and we can say that we have about a year and a half of engineering experience. So the education, it just vastly opened up so many doors for me, and it's been the key. You know, the education is something that no one can ever take away from you later on. So I feel like for African Americans, education is definitely a key for us to see the change that we want to see in our community, for sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
With it being engineering, would you say that there was a lot of African Americans in your class or no?
Yeah, there weren't so many of us in the School of Engineering. I think there was maybe about a handful of us that were in the classes, and it kind of got narrower and narrower as you kind of progressed with the program, because the handful of us that were there kind of divvied off into civil engineering or, you know, mechanical engineering. I veered off into, like I said, more of the electrical and computer engineering side of things. So yeah, there weren't very many of us there on campus, but we did form a really great club called NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers. So we would come together to interact, and you know, the university was really good about sponsoring us to go out to some of those conferences that are nationwide, so that we were able to both really collaborate within each other at UOP, but then also do some more networking with a lot of the universities that were nearby.
Great. To your knowledge, does that society still exist?
Yes, NSBE is still going strong. So I actually was just at UOP a couple of weeks ago, and I ran into another student who was part of NSBE, and we exchanged our little LinkedIn profiles and such, because I definitely want to try to keep an ear to the ground on how those guys are doing and support it if they ever need any help.
Oh, wow. So then again, the comparison, there was a handful when you were around. Now, do you know if there's any more, if the class size has increased as African-American involvement increased, I should say? Sorry.
You know, I talked to a couple of friends. It sounds like it's pretty much the same as when I was a student there. So I know definitely there's a lot of initiatives that are going on to increase the inclusion and diversity side of things. So that's something that I'm definitely looking to get more involved with UOP in the next coming months and year ahead.
Oh, that's great. I like the connection that even though you've left, you still feel that you're part of the Pacific family. And then specifically, like you say, with the NSBE association there, that's great. As an African-American male, did you ever experience any bias to your knowledge?
You know what? I have to say that I didn't really feel like I experienced direct bias, but what I felt like was something along those lines is that I would sit sometimes in my engineering class and, you know, be introduced to, say, one of the tools like the oscilloscope, and it's just like a really hard effort to ramp up on using that oscilloscope. And I would just sit there and wonder, so it's like, why is the student next to me just flying through this? And I was just like, man, how are you picking this up so fast? And he's like, oh, my mom and dad are engineers and they have oscilloscopes in the garage. I'm just like, well, that would explains a lot, because my dad was a bus driver. So, you know, I think from a community standpoint, you know, maybe the African-American community doesn't get exposed to things as early as some of the other cultures that we interact with, and that can kind of affect you. But we have to make sure that we overcome those, you know, imposter syndrome if it tries to crop up, and make sure that, you know, it doesn't matter. I got accepted into this university. I have what it takes. Yeah, I may need a little bit more time to ramp up on it, but I got this. And I think that's the attitude that you have to have. And I think that's one thing that UOP helped out with, is because it was so small, you were almost always forced to take a leadership role or to, you know, take on things and be more hands-on, because, you know, it's just a smaller student body, so that you get more attention that way.
Absolutely, I like that idea. Can you tell me, if you were here today and there were new African-American male students coming in, regardless of what major, is there anything specific you would say to encourage them?
I would just really try to encourage them to, you know, take advantage of the office hours that you have with your professor. Don't sit there trying to figure everything out on your own, or try to feel like you're too good to ask questions. I mean, that's the kind of cornerstone of UOP, is that the professors are there for you. So interact with them early. Make sure you get things cleared up early. You know, especially like that first couple of 2 years, I feel like when they hit you with all the calculus, those entry level engineering classes can kind of be kind of almost those classes that weed out a lot of people. So I would encourage any student, you know, to interact with their professors early and find out what's needed to be successful.
That is so cool. Thank you for that. I'm going to ask you one more thing. I might stretch it to two, I don't know, because I'm enjoying our conversation.
Sure thing.
Okay, let me go back a little bit. Were you part of any other organizations, Black organizations or college organizations whilst you were here?
Yes, so I started off, I was involved with a Christian group called Chi Alpha. So that was a really great experience. Met some really awesome people that kind of mentored me, helped to expand my network. And then, like I said, after I was involved with NSBE, I also had the opportunity to become a part of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, which is a predominantly African-American fraternity. And that was probably one of the best decisions that I made, because the friendships, the brotherhood that I was able to gain from that experience carries through even today. I'm still very active with my fraternity brothers, and
Wow.
It's been a great impact. And
to your knowledge, does that exist today here on campus?
So that's actually a new piece of information. Like I said, I just had the chance to visit UOP. So we met with Maria Blandisi, and she's interested in bringing, you know, the Divine Nine fraternities and sororities back to campus. So actually, my fraternity will be much more involved in the coming weeks. We'll be doing keynote speaking. We'll be ramping up some of our, you know, youth mentoring groups. So keep your ear to the ground. You'll be seeing us out there, definitely.
Definitely. Definitely my last question. Do you have a quote that's something that encouraged you that you'd like to share with the watchers and listeners out there today?
A good quote. I think the quote that got me through a lot of UOP, and this is a quote from my mom. She actually homeschooled us growing up to UOP, and I'd say that it's nothing is denied the man with patience. And you know, I think I carried that forward, and that got me through a lot of those tough classes.
So say that one more time. Nothing is denied.
Nothing is denied to the man with patience.
That's amazing. I agree with that. It'll take a long time, but it will happen. Just keep going.
Yes, indeed.
Tonight, you know, temerity. I think that's great. I have so many more questions, but I'm cognizant of your time. And yeah, thank you so much.
Well, it's been a pleasure chatting with you there, Elaine. Thank you again for setting this up.
Oh, thank you.
Hopefully I get to see you on campus in the coming weeks ahead.
Well, you've got my email, so when you're coming, please email me, and I definitely try to make sure I'm available to be there, meet you in person.
Okay, that sounds awesome, for sure.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, you know, I did forget the last question. Maybe I should do it.
Sure.
Hopefully she can tweak it for me. You said you were homeschooled.
Yes.
How did you learn about UOP?
So after being homeschooled, what I actually ended up doing was transferring to a community college, Sac City College, and I got involved with another science engineering group called Mesa, and we were basically asked to go to some of the college fairs. So when I met the recruiter and he kind of shared with me how UOP is really kind of a close-knit, smaller school, that appealed to me because as a homeschooler, I'm used to getting a lot of the attention. I got all the attention of my my teaching coming up. So that appealed to me more so than, you know, some of the larger UC Berkeley's where you're just like one in a class of 60 or something. Not to knock any of those universities, but having the opportunity to have more individual one-on-one time with the professor was a really big pull for me. And also the fact that the engineering department made sure or guaranteed you to have a whole year and a half worth of real engineering experience upon graduation. That sold it for me.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you once again for just being so open and sharing.
Oh,
this
no problem.
conversation. Thank you. And I look forward to being the possibility of meeting you when you're back on campus.
Most definitely.
Thank you
Thanks
so
again.
much.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.